This video, we're going to do some guided exam question practice on the question 5 from the 2019 Junior Cert Science paper. And it was on the topic of patterns of inheritance. Okay, so these are how different characteristics get inherited when reproduction happens. So there's a little bit of text here that we have to navigate, and we have to learn what's important, what's not important. First of all, it says sickle cell anemia is an inherited human disease. So it's a disease, and the important thing here is that it's inherited. What that means is it can be passed from one generation to the next, okay? So this means it's passed, or it's basically controlled by DNA, okay? So controlled by DNA. Means you can get it from your parents. If they had it, you could possibly have it. That's why it's inherited. It causes the body to produce red blood cells that have an irregular shape. So see this here, this is not how what red blood cells should look like. So this is an irregular shape. And when they have an irregular shape, they can't do their job properly. They're supposed to be able to carry oxygen, and these can't do that, okay? The gene for the disease is passed from generation to generation. That's why it's called inherited. Examine the pattern of inheritance for sickle cell anemia shown in the family tree below and answer the questions that follow. All right, so here is a family tree. So this here is a family tree. You can see the different generations. Number 1 and number 2 here, these are obviously the original parents. Okay, now over here there is a key to tell us what's going on. A square is a male that does not suffer. They do not have the disease. Whereas a red square is a male that does suffer with the sickle cell anemia. Circles then, these are the females, and a white circle is a female that does not suffer with the disease, and a red circle is a female that does suffer with the disease. So squares are males, circles are females, and white means not suffering, red means suffering. Okay, so let's look at the family tree. Let's navigate it there. Pause the video and take a look around that tree now. Okay, so hopefully you can see that these are the two original parents. Okay, we might call these Gen 1 if you like, Generation 1. Okay, what do we see then in terms of children of those two parents? Which ones are the children of those two parents? Pause the video and say the numbers of the children of parents 1 and 2. Pause the video and do that now. Okay, hopefully you said 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6 are the children of parent 1 and 2. How do I know? Well, parent 1 and 2 came together and they reproduced. And who are they directly connected to? They're directly connected to 4, 5, and 6. They're not directly connected to anybody else. Look at number 7 is connected to 6 and number 3 is connected to 4, but they're not directly connected to the parents. So those are not children of 1 and 2. Okay, so 4, 5, and 6 are the children. So we call these Gen 2 if you like. Okay, and 6 and 7 both have, 6 and 4 both have partners. 4 is partner with 3 and 6 is partner with 7, and they have children, each of those couples. So hopefully you can figure out how a family tree works from that. Okay, so let's go and look at the questions on this now. Okay, so I'm going to have to zoom out. I'm going to rub out the green so you don't have all that help in there. This is a family tree. So look what it says here. It says square 1 and circle 2 are a married couple. How many children did this couple have? Okay, so children. Pause the video and write down beside children how many children did this couple have. Okay, so a quick reminder, you're either doing this in exam papers if you have them. If you don't have them, you're keeping a tab on it. This is 2019 question 5 on the top, and then this is part A. So pause the video and write that down. How many children did that couple have? Pause the video. Okay, so I see 3 children. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 children. Some non-sufferers, so I'm on part B now, sorry. Some non-sufferers may be carriers of the disease. So they don't suffer with the disease, they don't actually have it, but they might carry the gene. This means they have inherited the sickle cell gene, but they don't suffer from the disease. What evidence is there from the diagram that persons 6 and 7 are both carriers? Okay, so let's look at persons 6 and 7, and is there any evidence that they might be carriers? So pause the video, take a look at that, and hopefully maybe you can do that by yourself. So pause the video and write down an answer to that. Okay, so this is evidence. So in other words, what evidence is there that they are carrying the gene for sickle cell anemia? Okay, so what evidence is that they are carrying the gene? Okay, so pause the video if you didn't get it already and write down an answer for this. Okay, well, the evidence for me is that when 6 and 7 reproduce, their child has sickle cell anemia. So we know that it's an inherited disease. So if they inherited it, they had to get the genes from their parents. So the parents, even though they weren't sufferers, they must have been carrying the sickle cell gene. So that's your evidence. Okay, the evidence is that their child is a sufferer. Child suffers from the disease, something like that. Okay, hopefully that's pretty straightforward. All right, let's look at part C. Suffering from sickle cell anemia is an example of a genetically controlled characteristic, controlled by genes. Classify, that means group them, classify characteristics as being either genetically controlled or not genetically controlled by placing a tick in the correct column. Okay, so here, if you don't have the exam papers, you need to make a copy of this table. Okay, so pause the video, do that now. Okay, and now you need to put a tick in the box to say whether each of eye color and how to cycle a bike are these things genetically controlled or not genetically controlled. Pause the video, do that now. Okay, so eye color, this is definitely something that you inherit from your parents. Okay, so this is controlled by genetics, is controlled by genes. Generally, if your parents have a certain color of eye, especially if they've got brown eyes, you will, their children, some of the children will definitely end up having brown eyes. Okay, it is genetically controlled. What about how to cycle a bike? Okay, so pause the video and write that down now. Tick one of the boxes. Okay, so hopefully you tick this box. It is not genetically controlled. This is something you learn. You are not born automatically able to cycle a bike. You have to learn it. Okay, the last one. Answer the following question by placing a tick in the correct box. What is the function of red blood cells? Okay, so again, this is one you should know. So I want to pause the video, and if you don't have the exam papers, write it down instead of maybe ticking the box. Okay, so function of red blood cells is, and then say which one it is. So pause the video, do that now. Okay, so you should have picked function of red blood cells is to carry oxygen. All right, so let's go ahead and pull over the marking scheme and we'll correct it and see, did we get them right? Hopefully we did. Right, the first answer is what, 3 marks, as you can see, part A, and then 3 children. Now that's what we said, 3 marks. What's the evidence that 6 and 7 are carriers? Is what, 3 marks? Well, their child is a sufferer. That's exactly what we said here. Look, child is a sufferer, and that's 3 marks. The next part C is what, 3 each, and the tick should be in the right box. So eye color we said was genetically controlled, that's correct. And how to cycle a bike is not genetically controlled, that's correct. So again, sorry, that's 6 marks, 3 and 3. And then the function of red blood cells is to carry oxygen, which is exactly what we said. That's another 3. So altogether, that was a 15-mark question, and we got 15 out of 15. So again, hopefully you are getting the idea that these exam questions are very manageable. You just have to sift through the information, find out what's important, and make sure you don't skip any bits or miss any bits, and be careful, make sure you read them very carefully. Okay, all right, so that's it. We'll see you in the next one.